Hello, hi. Welcome everyone. My name is Mahira. Welcome to the second session of the Epilogue of Happy Clinic 2021. Thank you to all participants who have been tuning in since this morning as we had Dr. David earlier today discussing on working through the uncertainty of a pandemic, how we can make this new normal work for work. So some of the key takeaways from the first session are mindfulness evolve with time. So be mindful of the time boundaries between your work and your life. Make your own ritual like drinking coffee, listening to music, or even playing with your pets. So thank you, Dr. David, for the tips. Now, this session, we will be focusing on the parents' role, on how would the parents promote the teenagers' mental health. It will be moderated by a teacher who experienced in teachers training and school leadership development, teacher Hamidah Helmei, the principal of IDRISSI International School in EduCity, Iskandar. We are also honored to have two speakers for this session. Professor Dr. Marhani binti Midin, the consultant psychiatrist from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, who is also the advisor to Mental Illness Awareness and Support Association, MIASA. In her 29 years of services, she was also the advisory board members of Promotion of Mental Health in Ministry of Health Malaysia in 2013 until 2019. So welcome teacher Hamidah and Professor Dr. Marhani. We would have a special appearance in this session. Welcome to Mr. Daniel Loh, the founder and also the CEO of Stella Education Group. Stella Education Group consists of Stella Preschool, Melody's Garden, as well as Stella International School in Putri Harbour. Hi, Mr. Daniel. We are happy to have you today. But before I pass to teacher Hamidah as the moderator today, to our viewers in both Zoom and TikTok platform, we encourage you to be active in this session and stand a chance to win our exclusive EduCity Happy Kit. Post your questions in the Q&A box and do interact with us in the comment section. So without further ado, I would like to pass the platform to Teacher Hamidah to kick off the session. Teacher Hamidah, take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Amira, for the wonderful introduction. Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera to all viewers and maybe some listeners. Welcome again to the Epilogue of Happy Clinic 2021. It's a wonderful Sunday. I hope everybody is relaxed. All right, so our session today will be focusing on parents' role in promoting mental health among teenagers. Right? I am Hamidah from IDRISSI School, EduCity Iskandar Putri, and we are very honored today to have with us, as introduced by our MC, Professor Dr. Marhani Midin. She's the head of Community Psychiatry and Psychosocial Intervention Unit, Department of Psychiatry, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Her decades worth of invaluable experience on mental health studies and hands-on experience in Malaysia as well as globally, I'm sure will benefit all of us today. Now, Doctor, how are you today, Doctor? Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum, Puan Hamidah. Thank you for the kind introduction.
We are really excited to hear about what you'd like to share with us. But before that, Doctor, promoting mental health well-being among teenagers, the role of parents, right? I think we have parents, we have students, we have academicians, educators here today. It's something very dear to our hearts for those who are, joining here today. So I just like first, maybe if you don't mind, I'd like to highlight three findings that, I find that it's worth sharing, in this valuable session. Number one, mental health is the most important issue being debated now in the world. All right, from the study conducted by World Health Organization in 2019. All right, if you put people who have registered being diagnosed with mental illness such as depression, bipolar affective disorder, and schizophrenia, there's more than 300 million of the world population. That's maybe about already 5%. Now, if you look at closer to home, all right, from the Institute of Public Health Malaysia in 2017, Doctor, it says that 1 in 3 Malaysians have suffered from some kind of mental illness. That's 33%. I think that's higher even than the common cold. right? Then another study that caught my eye is a recent study published from the International Journal of Academic Research in Business and Social Sciences by Shahril Ahmad et al. In 2021, saying that parenting style and school connectedness has got a significant correlation to the mental health of adults in Malaysia. Okay, so these are, these are the facts that I would note down as I was writing, even if I find it anywhere. So doctor, if you could enlighten us about the mental health and the role of parents, yeah, in Malaysia today. Over to you, doctor.
Thank you very much, Puan Hamidah. You are very right in terms of what is the situation about mental health problems. Mental health problems are actually on the rise globally and locally, and this is a drastic rise actually. And our local data is actually found by the Ministry of Health through actually epidemiological survey of nationwide population. So it is true that 1 in 3 actually have some sort of mental health problems in Malaysia. And actually, stigma is still one of the biggest issue that we face in improving the situation. But to give everyone hope, things are changing. More and more people start to talk about mental health, yeah? And more people are being open to actually do initiatives to convey the good messages to the population. One good example is EduCity, like what we are doing today. So congratulations and thank you, EduCity, for taking this initiative. Right, so let's go to the talk. Okay, let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen? Hopefully you can. So we are talking about teenagers' mental health today, and specifically we are talking about parents' roles in promoting teenagers' mental health. Yeah, and teenagers here means that age group that is between the onset of puberty to the onset of early adulthood. And if we're talking about in terms of age numbers, it is roughly between age of 12, 13 to age of 18, 19. That's teenage life. Right, I seem not being able to move my screen. Let me do it again. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Okay. So talking about teenagers, I am living with 4 of them. Yep, 2 of them are already in the early adulthood, and another 2 are actually in the late teenage years. And I wouldn't say I am myself as a super expert in parenting and parents' roles in supporting teenagers. And I do learn about parenting through parenting itself. Yeah? And sometimes my teachers are the greatest teacher to actually learn this process. Yeah. Right. So why should we be concerned and pay attention to our teens' mental health? Right. Talking about parenting. This is also about me because I have 4 of them at home, and this is about us, and this is about doing this, about doing it together. Yeah. Why should we be paying attention to our teens' mental health? Let's try to understand first, what is it like to be in teenage years? Yeah? Parents, this is a transition period for our teens, yeah? And they are neither children that we have full control of, nor them adults, yeah, that we can let let alone be on their own without guidance. Yeah, so this is a period where a lot of changes happening, and changes happening fast, that they may not be able to cope with. Yeah, so guidance from parents and from the people around them would be crucial. Right, so I will take some time to explain about the information from this slide. Yeah, the changes that happen during teenage years. Yeah, we call it key developmental tasks. Yeah? We call it tasks because these are the natural demands, yeah, that happen during adolescence. Yeah, and needing our adolescents to actually negotiate and master some skills so that they will be more prepared to face the next task in the next developmental stage of their life. Yeah? Right. And I think, first of all of us are aware what happens to our bodies, right, during this time. So girls would be more of a woman, and boys will be more of a man. Yeah, and these are all driven by sexual hormones. Yeah, and together with this, they also have sexual feelings. Yeah, and also attractions. Sexual attractions, body image become important, complexion, pimples issue. So that can be tough. Yeah? And during this stage also is the time when they actually start to be, their brain start to be able to think more independently, and to understand the things that are not right in front of them. Yeah, for example, to see the consequences of behaviors, but they're not so good in doing this yet. So guidance is important. And this is during the time period where actually they extend their relationship beyond family, yeah, beyond family, and relationship with friends become very important to them. Yeah, and this is something that we want to actually encourage and guide our adolescents. And sometimes opinions of friends become more important than parents' opinion, and yeah, that is part of adolescent. And if they have problems, difficulties in negotiating this task, they can be feeling very lonely. Right, and this is a time also when they have to face an increasing mature roles, yeah, and responsibilities, yeah, either at home or outside. Yeah? At home, for example, I just got this feedback from an interview with an adolescent that at home they have this one girl who had to actually take care of the younger siblings, yeah, while she is attending PDPR at the same time. Yeah, so that can be tough. Yeah? But I do understand parents' problems during this pandemic time. Yeah? You need to go to work, and the taska is not open. So sometimes you do have to stretch your source of support, and it spills on your teens as well. Yeah, but for the teens, I mean, it may not be so difficult for them, but it can be an added stressor. And during this time, yeah, this is a time when they start to separate from their parents in terms of intellectually. Yeah, they start to develop their own thinking, develop their own values, and also they separate also emotionally, yeah, from parents to actually form their identity, yeah, as a person, in terms of who they are, what matters to them, yeah, what are their value system. So this is what happening during adolescence. Yeah? And these are actually the years of creativity, idealism, enthusiasm, yeah, and a spirit of adventure. Yeah? But of course, these are also the years of experimentation, yeah, and risk-taking, yeah, of giving in to negative peer pressure, yeah, of taking uninformed decisions on crucial issues. Like, for example, relating to their bodies, yeah, relating to their sexuality. Yeah? So teenage years thus is a turning point in one's life, is a period of increased potential, and at the same time, one of the period with greater vulnerability. Yeah? And parents may be facing issues in their teens, in terms of the teens forming self-image, managing emotions, building relationships, and strengthening social skills. And in terms of emotions, dealing with intense emotions would be one of the issues that parents may face, right? Right. So yeah, you can see that this can be tough, yeah, for our teens, right? And for them to sometimes be rebellious, showing rebellious attitudes, and wanting to be independent, don't tell me what to do, yeah, with their mood swings, yeah, sometimes can be irritable and loud, and being argumentative, yeah, and also at times refusing to do chores, yeah, that is one thing that could upset parents as well. And also they may be isolating themselves in the room. That is also part of being teenagers. Okay, right. So yeah. Another reason why parents should pay attention to your teens' mental health is because, like Puan Hamidah mentioned just now, mental health problems in Malaysian adolescents are on the rise. And this is coming from the data that we have nationwide, yeah, through the National Health and Mobility Survey. And this particular data that I'm showing you actually comes from NHMS 2019, which actually showed that almost 500,000 of children, this is below 15, yeah, were found to have mental health problems in Malaysia. And just now, Puan Hamidah mentioned about 1 in 3 of Malaysians have some sort of mental health problems. That is coming from NHMS 2017. And as compared to the data from 1996, there was an increase of threefold of the rates of mental problems in Malaysia. And from that survey in 2015, it was shown that it is the younger age group that was affected most. Right? And from this data in 2019, KKM or MOH concluded that 1 in 5 may be depressed among children and adolescents, yeah? 2 in 5 anxious, and 1 in 10 stressed. That is quite a scary number, yeah? And so as suicidal behaviors, I'm sure teachers, yeah, have heard incidences, yeah, among children and adolescents, where they resort to taking their own life. And also self-harm is getting much more common nowadays. Yeah? And this is also shown by our statistics that suicidal behaviors in terms of them having ideation, having plan, and having attempt are also on the rise. And this is quite alarming. Yeah? And we need to do something about this. And from this survey, actually, the adolescents are saying that they have their major problem is in terms of social interaction with their peers, especially. So peers are very important to them. And second to that is behavioral problems. Yeah? They may actually engage into behavioral problems, yeah, and also emotional problem. Right, so that's the situation now, yeah. And we should be concerned because mental health problems actually impact the growth of our children, yeah, in terms of their further development. And this is talking about not only their emotional and social development, this is also talking about their brain growth. Yeah, because mental health problems do change the structure and the function of our brain cells. Yeah, and you know, with the problems that they are facing, you know, when the brain is full with problems and they are struggling, you can imagine how much space they have for mathematics, for science, for geography, and so on, for the academic matters. Yeah, they will have little space for academic matters. Yeah, so in that sense, mental health problems can actually reduce our children's capacity for academic achievement. Yeah, and this is stated in so many literatures. Yeah. And of course, in the end, is the life of our teens that will be affected, yeah, because mental health problems cause impairment in the capacity to live a productive life, yeah. So yeah, I mean, me being somebody who actually receive, you know, these young people when they have developed mental illness, I can conclude that to actually help them to heal, it takes a long time, and also would be labor intensive. It's much more difficult actually to heal when the damages have occurred. It'll be more effective for us to prevent mental illness from occurring. Yeah. So yeah, parents do have a big role in this. So how can parents and teenagers work together to promote our teenagers' mental health? Right. So okay, and this is a busy slide again, but I will take my time to explain this. Right. So there are actually 10 important life skills that that are important for our teenagers to master. Yeah, and this is you know, you can divide it into the thinking skills, the social skills, and the emotional skills. Yeah, and this is so crucial actually in terms of mental health. Yeah, because mental health problems, I realize actually rooting from these problems. Yeah, when they struggle in life, they struggle with their studies, they struggle from, you know, dealing with their emotions, and also they're struggling in terms of relationship. Those are major factors causing mental health problems, right? So what are the 10 life skills that teenagers should have? Yeah. Number one is self-awareness. Yeah. Self-awareness is about being able to recognize, to be aware who you are. Yeah, and in terms of, you know, what you like, what you don't like, what frustrate you, yeah, what move you, your weakness and strength. So this is an important skill for them to gain. Yeah. And I would say that this is a prerequisite for effective communication. Yeah, if you're aware of yourself, it will be easier for you to communicate and also to empathize. Yeah, that is a second skill. Yeah, what is empathy? Empathy is the ability to imagine what life is like for another person. Yeah, and to understand and care about other people's needs, yeah, desires, and feelings. Yeah. And of course, empathy is very important in social interactions, not only with peers, yeah, but also in building successful relationship in the bigger context. Yeah, and important in their subsequent developmental stages later. Yeah. You know, somebody with empathy, yeah, would make communication with others not amounting to two-way process, because communication is very much two-way. If you cannot see things from the perspective of the other person, it will be difficult for you to have an effective communication. Yeah. Right. So with empathy, our children will be better able to actually understand other people, yeah, and also gain support from other people as well. Yeah. Right. So next is critical thinking. I think I've mentioned just now what critical thinking is. This is the ability to analyze information and experiences in an objective manner. Yeah, this is about recognizing the and also assessing the factors that influence, behaviors. Yeah, the role of values. Yeah, whether opinions from friends are actually influencing them a lot. Yeah, and what can they interpret from occurrences that may not be giving them the explicit information. So they need to develop this skill as well. Another one is creative thinking, which actually this is actually the most productive period of time when they actually develop, their capacity for creative thinking in terms of generating new ideas, in terms of being flexible with things, and also in terms of building from other ideas. Yeah? Right, next is decision making. I think you all know what decision making is. Yeah? Adolescents need to be able to deal constructively with decisions. Yeah? And assessing the different options available to them, and also consider the effects of these different options, different decisions. And related to that is problem solving in terms of looking at the problem objectively with regards to the different options for solution, yeah? By weighing the pros and cons, yeah? In terms of the different options available. We do this a lot when we counsel young people, yeah? And they need help in this thing. Yeah? So next is coping with emotions. Yeah, that is in terms of recognizing their own emotions. Yeah, from my interview with adolescents, because I'm at the moment carrying a big research looking at perspectives from adolescents, from teachers, and from parents in terms of what they understand about social and emotional competencies, and how they should learn social and emotional skills. Yeah, so many of them actually do not recognize emotions. Yeah, many of them, when triggered by something, go straight to behavior, go straight to internet, go straight to doing something, without pausing and being aware of what emotions they have. Yeah, so being aware of emotions would be an important step, yeah, for them to actually be aware of how emotions influence behavior. Yeah, and also for them to be able to respond to emotion appropriately. Yeah, so the first thing is to be aware. Yeah, and especially in managing the intense emotions, which is getting common and common now in our young people. Emotions like anger, and sadness. Yeah, sometimes they are more open to name the emotion as anger, but there's a lot of other emotions behind that actually. Yeah, so for them to be guided in coping with emotions, and also coping with stress, for them to recognize, yeah, where is this coming from, yeah, what are the sources of stress, yeah, and recognizing how stress affect them, and controlling their lives, yeah, and also for them to actually learn positive coping styles. Yeah. So this is another important area. And effective communication. You would agree with me, this would be an important skill for them to acquire. And this is about expressing opinion, desires, needs, fears, yeah, and also about asking for help as well. Yeah, and parents please don't minimize, don't minimize the issue when your teens start talking to you. Yeah, please give them some attention. Yeah, because they wouldn't want to actually communicate if the channel is not open. And last but not least is a relationship. Yeah, I cannot. I've mentioned just now that the relationship is very important. If your teen doesn't have any friend, you should be concerned. You should be encouraging them to actually make friends, and maintain friendships. All right. So you realize that all these skills are hard skills, yeah, difficult skills, yeah, not easy. Yeah? This is something that they cannot actually learn from lectures. They cannot learn from courses or learn alone. Yeah, they need guidance on learning all these skills. Yeah, but with these skills, they will be able. They will have more capacity to cope with stresses and adversities. Yeah, and another name for it is resilience. Resilience is very important, and I would say resilience is the biggest tool to go forward to success, whatever the definition of success is. Right? Right. So how can parents help? Yeah. This is not a snake, this is a road to reflect a journey. So how can parents help? Yeah, number one is to allow your teens to actually experience disappointments, frustration. Yeah, for them to learn negative feelings don't last. Yeah, and this disappointment may be coming from you not being able to attend to them right there and then. Yeah, they may feel disappointed. Parents, you don't have to be harsh to yourself. That can be healthy. Yeah, because they can learn how to deal with the disappointment. And what parents can do is to validate their fears, their emotions. Yeah? Validate. Yeah, to feel the emotions is fine. It's healthy because emotion actually move you, guide you. Yeah, emotions have adaptive function to move you. Yeah, but emotions can be overwhelming. Can be children can actually learn to perceive emotions as wrong, as unacceptable. So it's very important for parents to validate your teens' emotions, yeah? And help them make plans to do things, right? Next is to help them take reasonable risk. Yeah, encouraging them to take reasonable risk is actually healthy. Yeah, you don't have to overprotect your children. That's not healthy because they need to learn skills. Yeah, and let them experience the consequences of taking risks. Yeah, because the experience of feeling the stress and the drive and the doing and the sense of accomplishment when they are successful is actually a very powerful tool to actually develop their skill. Right? And next is to encourage them to try new things, yeah, make mistakes. Right? I think this is very important, yeah? Not to avoid the mistakes, yeah? But it's okay for them to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes. Anyway, that's how we learn, right, parents? We learn to be good at doing things from going through mistakes. Yeah, so that's how we teach our children as well. And give opportunities to make their own decision. Yeah, don't shut them up and say, "Listen to me." Right? Let them give their opinion. Encourage them make decision and solve problems. Yeah, you can be the backbone in terms of problem solving. Yeah, so that would be healthy. And you can tell stories of people who have faced hard times, persisted, and grew stronger. But there is a trick in doing this. Yeah, please don't use your own story as an example. Okay, I think it's a very common phrase. Yeah, during my time, last time I did this and I did that. Yeah, and the implication from that statement is, why can't you do it? So they will start comparing. Yeah, my mom faced that situation, and now she is a successful person. I am struggling, so that means I'm not good. I'm bad. Yeah. I mean, you have to wait for them to be receptive, to be in a good mood, to be talking about it. Then you can use examples. Use examples like Steve Jobs or Jack Ma, those people that is not you, right? Okay, next is to reframe challenges in short term. Problems as short-term problems, and opportunities for learning. This is actually very important. Yeah, tell them to, yeah, I can see that you are feeling very frustrated, very jittery. That the problems you are facing now is still hanging. Yeah, and believe me that this is an important process for you to master in solving problems. Okay, and it will make you stronger. Yeah, so be there during this time, and remind them that although we can't control everything that happened to us, we can actually control how we respond to them. All right. So, right. So you can see that this is very much a process. Yeah? It's not a one-off thing. And you may do well at one time, not so well at another time. It's okay, because this is a process. Yeah, and please focus on the process, not the outcome. Yeah, most of the time, myself included, yeah, especially in the past, the way I interact with my children, I interacted with my children is out of worries. Worry that if you don't know how to do this now, then how are you going to be an adult? How are you going to face this problem in the future? How can you be successful? How can you be whatever the outcome that you have in mind? Yeah. So focus on the process. All right. And please check your worries, not to project your worries onto the interaction with your teenagers. Okay. I think this is very crucial because you know what? Our teenagers, they cannot read our worries. They cannot. They only read what we say, what we do to them. When you say that, you can't do this, they take it as, oh my God, I cannot do this. I'm incompetent. Yeah. So check on your worries. Yeah. Another thing, which I commonly hear as well, is parents trying to achieve their dream through the child. During childhood, you were not given to learn piano, for example. And now you insist that your child learn piano, even though your child doesn't like it, and become a stress to the child. Yeah, so check on that. Yeah, because actually you don't own your child's life. You don't. Your child does own their life. Yeah, and also you can influence, your child. You can shape your child, but you cannot control, because there are other factors that are working and shaping your child as well. Besides parenting and parents lah. Yeah. And you realize that this process needs your presence and your attention, and not only once but throughout the process. Yeah, and you don't talk about quality when you don't give the quantity. Yeah, quality is built with time. Okay, I purposely put this photo of you planting a plant. Yeah, and when you plant a tree, you need to water it. You need to give fertilizer, and you don't do this only once. In terms of watering your plant, you have to do it every day. Yeah, and you have to make sure that your plant is in the right position to receive sunlight, to receive exposure, to make your plant grow. It's the same thing with parenting and building your children. Yeah? Next is it needs connection and communication. Yeah, so connection is built through time together, through doing things together. You may not say anything. Your communication may be non-verbal, but you are actually bonding with your child. Yeah, and actions speak louder than words in terms of communication. Yeah, in the sense of you may tell your teenagers, do this, don't do that. This is dangerous, this is not good. Don't spend too much time on internet. But you yourself are entertaining YouTube and the social media a lot. Yeah, at home, and that's not good for the children. Yeah, because your children can read that. Okay, right. Next is for parents to actually embrace the complexity of development, of your child's development, because every child is different. They have different temperament, and there are many other factors that will be involved in shaping your child's development. I mentioned just now to focus on the process and appreciate your moments together, because that is parenting. That is something that your child will remember to approach things. And focus on making good memories for your child, then telling your child to do this and that. Yeah, because it's the memories that will last. And last but not least, if you are in doubt, just be kind. As much as you can be kind to your friends, you never say harsh things towards your friends, right? For me, I have to be kind to my patients. If I can be kind to my patients, why can't I be kind to my children? Our children are our biggest investment. Don't forget that. Yeah, and whenever you are in trouble, in terms of choosing how to interact, choose love. Love that is sincere, that will guide you. You have to think that you love this person. How would you interact with him or her? That will be key, I would say. Right. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm done with talking about parents' roles. We can expand the subject later a little bit on what teenagers can do to protect their mental health while re-entering school or college. Yeah, and this is about experiencing change. Yeah? As much as students, you have to adjust with staying at home, studying and learning from home. It's the same process going back to class, to school or to college. Yeah, and I'm going to be light on this because yeah, you can learn how to reset your mindset. That is in the next lecture. But just some important points. Number one is sleep pattern, because I'm seeing in my children as well that, the pandemic, the MCO is really disrupting our sleep pattern. And sleep is such an important factor that would affect our mental health, that would make you more prepared to go to school, that would contribute to your growth. So take some time to actually adjust your sleep pattern. And include exercise or play, physical play lah, not internet play, in your daily routine. and deal with your worries. Yeah, this can be worrying situation. Yeah, you may have worries about, that if you are shy, you may be worried about how you're going to interact with your friends. Yeah, if you are uh, perfectionist, you may be worried about whether you can cope with the changes and also the amount of things that you need to learn. Yeah, so take some time to reflect on that and do something. The earlier lecture was about mindfulness, right? Yeah, so you can apply mindfulness here. And I think most important is to be kind to yourself. Allow time to adjust. Okay, because if you can brave yourself, yeah, to just do it, go and start small, with small goals on daily every day, that would be good enough. Yeah. And don't forget to connect with your friends, because friends are important for mental health. Yeah. Your parents and teachers are with you. You remember that. Yeah. And the rest is for you to breathe. When you are stressed, breathe and get set. You're good to go. Right. Right. I think that's about it. My conclusion about helping our teenagers to grow mentally healthy is actually a joint responsibility, yeah, between the teenagers, the parents, teachers, and the society. Of course, parents may have the biggest role. We cannot deny that. Yeah. But then about parenting, you know, there is no one perfect formula, I would say. And there is no such thing as a perfect parent. Yeah, you just be real. You just be real with your real life circumstances, yeah, and your real children in front of you. All right, and that's my key message for all parents here. And I think that conclude my talk for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Marhani. That was very, very interesting, very insightful. Personally, also, I felt that I was doing some reflections as I was hearing yourself talking, especially about being aware that your teenager actually, they are living in a different time, different condition. I think we have to refrain ourselves from saying like during my time, when I was your age, so that was really great. And if I could just quickly summarize, so number one, there's no manual to parenting. Every child is different. Every situation is different. That's really soothing to hear too, because as parent, you always want to give the best, right? And you have this protective instinct, And number two, guide your child through adulthood. It's a difficult time. Right? It's a difficult time. It's challenging for them. We might have forgotten, all right, because of, we have a generation gap. And last but not least, I think the 8 ways to build resilience is worth taking note of. All right, Doctor, we have a special guest to call. All right. We have Mr. Daniel Lowe from Stella Education Group. Hello, Mr. Daniel, how are you?
Hello, Miss Hamidah. Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And I believe Mr. Daniel have got, some very important questions as well to ask Professor Dr. Marhani today.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Professor Marhani, for the very insightful sharing session. It is, I think as parent myself, I also took a lot of nuggets out of it. And Professor Marhani mentioned about that empathy is the key to support mental health for the community. That is what I picked up. And in fact, that is one of the core value of Stella Education, which we find that it is also important that we are in sync on this. So for the first session, we also picked up a lot of insightful session from Dr. David that, how do we embrace a new norm? when I was listening, I really think that it is important that things are somehow interrelated in the sense that when we have healthy, caring, and happy workplace, this will produce a healthy employee, healthy culture. And when some of the employees, they are parents themselves, that will, that will generate, will create more happy parents, supportive family. And when we have a happy family, healthy family, we have a healthy society and we have a strong nation. So things are really interrelated. And as a modern employer myself, I believe that the playing field has changed, that we are in a transparent and instant world nowadays where any practice by employer could be made available to the public instantly. So while we are having different role, either it's employer or employee, we play different role, but no one is more superior. We are over here to serve a greater purpose. And do not be afraid that employer could fire employee, and vice versa, employee could fire back the employer. So let us focus on supporting one another and work towards that common goal. So, and for this session by Prof. Dr. Marhani, it is something very core to my heart on parents' role in promoting teenagers' mental health. It is really important for us to understand the reason why we need to pay attention on mental health. And there are a lot of highlight by Prof. Marhani that how actually a parent's role associate with the mental health problem among Malaysian children. And as father myself, I learned from my children that they are actually a reflection of who we are. The way we speak, the way we react to situation, and so on and so forth, they will pick up instantly. So it is important for us to understand and upgrade ourselves as a parent if we want to have a strong and healthy children, to have a strong mental health. So, but the fact is that situation is always not easy. I myself, I'm struggling, right? Especially now when we have, on top of juggling the multiple role, we will still have to manage the stress that is caused by the pandemic, which is not easy. So it is important for us to have this awareness. And I'm listening and I'm learning from Prof. Marhani. She has 4 children and I only have 3, so I need to learn. I need to pay attention. Like
we are all learning.
Yeah, I'm learning from you all. So I'm investing 20 to 30 minutes a day, every day, on a single day, communicating with my young children. The eldest one is just 5 years old, and I'm thankful that I am able to learn this when my kids are young. To ensure, I have one common goal, is that to ensure that as they grow up to be adults, to be a teen, they will run to me when they face any problem. I want to build that trust that I'll be there to support them to solve their problem. So, but we all in a different situation. Like anything else, today is always the best day to start. And there are a lot of things that I could implement straight away after learning from you all. And that's as parent. But as a school, we also face challenges, especially when schools are online. There are a lot of challenges that we face, but one main challenge that we face is that the children are addicted to the gadgets, where they constantly check phone for no reason, because all of their classes now is online. So they rely on gadgets to learn the lesson. And we saw the situation. The situation was there before the pandemic, but it is getting worse because of the relying on the gadgets. So they feel anxious. When they feel anxious, they will turn to the device. As they turn to the device, they will develop this sense of isolation. And when they have this sense of isolation, They pay more attention to devices, to social media, and the cycle continues. I mean, gadgets, social media are great. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a solution during this pandemic. But like anything else, balance is the key. And as a school, we need to identify the real need of our children. As for younger children, all they need is, in terms of mental health, is the approval from parents or teachers. And adolescents, it's the approval from their peers, their social, their friend. And when they face problem, the teens, they're supposed to reach out to friends for social support. Unfortunately, now they turn to their gadgets and became an addiction. So this is really a modern world problem, I would say that. And during my time, we do experience a situation where we don't have gadgets. We are the tech migrant. We are the digital migrant. We are from a situation where there's no, I even remember how to ring a phone with a not digital phone. So we understand what does it mean to have social interaction. So with this, actually, it also gives us the advantage to guide them, not just to learn from them, to learn from the youngsters. I learn a lot from the youngsters nowadays, but also to guide them that, hey, life is also better when, life is also good when without the gadgets, you don't have to rely on the gadgets to have your time. Talk to us, okay? But when we say that, talk to us, how many people will really come and talk to us? How many of our children come and talk to us? So again, balance is key. As parents, now my kids are still very young, but some of the things that we could do for the teenagers, for the children who are at teenage years, we could set up a smartphone contract. Like, for instance, no phone on dining table, no phone after 8 o'clock, and so on and so forth. So if they breach the contract, you won't get your gadgets for 1 week and things like that. So the need of the future generation, in my opinion, is that we need to instill that skill set to them, that they will need to have the skill, to have the courage to ask for help. And we want to encourage that instead of turning to the device. And why is this important from my perspective is that the danger that we face nowadays is that the youth, see, they portray very positively on social media. They put filter on everything. And as parent, we will have no clue that they have a problem, that they have a mental problem, because their real life is different from what they have portrayed on the social media. And we can never associate the actual situation with the activities on social media. And that itself is, to me, is a danger. So as parents, I'm very mindful of that. And the solution is to set ourselves a good example, get rid of get rid of this phone addiction and start living today. So that is one of the school's objective. But ultimately, we want to make sure that our children, our students grow up to be a holistic person. And that there are a lot of important life skills that Prof. Marhani mentioned, which I totally agree. Like, for example, the empathy, critical thinking, problem solving, effective communication, even virtually how to communicate effectively. Some of it we could actually learn from the pandemic on how do we react to the pandemic. This itself, how do we react to the pandemic itself is a skill set. And that could be developed, could be learned. But coping with emotion and stress, I think we need a lot of support. So I really appreciate EduCity for organizing this, that a lot of people, they need such support, especially for now. And resilience is also very important. The 8 ways to help teens to build resilience is key, is crucial actually, to withstand or recover quickly from difficult condition consistently. When we talk about resilience, we focus on the long term. And that is why education doesn't happen overnight. We journey with them for more than 10 years, bit by bit, allow them to make mistakes, allow them to take risks, and so on and so forth. Eventually, these are the important aspects that we hope, and that is our goal, to ensure that our children enter into workforce and flourish, and teach them how to form deep, meaningful relationship with people around them. And we want to work closely with parents on achieving that common goal. So my question for Prof. Dr. Marhani is that, how do we raise this awareness of importance of parents' role in their children's mental health and work with the parents at school?
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. That is a lot, what you said, very insightful. Maybe before I answer your question, I just want to recap a few things and elaborate a bit. You mentioned about teaching all these life skills starting from young and connecting with your children starting from young. That is actually very, very important because during adolescence, it's a time when they start to separate from us. You may be too late already to connect with them. Yeah, it would be much easier for you to build the connection, bonding from young. And for your information, personality is actually developed during the first few years of life. Not later, actually. Later, it's time to consolidate actually personality. And you mentioned about empathy. Empathy is crucial because I actually see a lot of in my patients who are depressed or anxious, and they have, their perception about their experiences with people is one-sided. Things happen, oh, that means I'm a bad person. That means, people are looking at me as a failure. It's very personalized perception, and they minimize their strength, looking at things from their own perspective alone. There is no perspective of the other person. That is empathy. Empathy is not about pitying the other person. It's understanding, the perspective from the other person, and that might be related to you as well. So right, yeah, I think you elaborated a lot about gadget just now, which I totally agree. Yeah, gadget is like, I mean, gadget is probably the same thing as comfort eating. Some people go into eating to comfort themselves. Some children go to gadget to comfort themselves, and because gadget is such a pleasurable experience, a lot of dopamine coming in the brain, and the experience of pleasure, using the gadget will reinforce addiction, actually. Yeah, will make it habit. Yeah, so whatever happened, gadget. So the brain is already like a short circuit to that kind of coping. Yeah, and we cannot actually like stop them, but we can compete in the in the form of interaction. And you mentioned about rules just now. Rules will be important, but we also need to monitor the rules and monitor the enforcement of our rules. Otherwise, our children would learn that rules can be broken. That's a real problem, right? Yeah.
Yes, Prof. That was very interesting, and I think it was a very a question which I think a lot of parents would can associate to gadget addiction, and also problems aggravated by the pandemic. Yeah. So Prof has mentioned that it's important to actually get it right from home early in your childhood.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Prof?
Yes, very much so, very much so. You know, as our children are born into this world, their world is parents, nobody else. Yeah, so it starts from parents and home.
Yes, at the very starts from home.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a very nice question which a lot of people can relate to. And thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Low, and also Prof for sharing. So we will now move on to, we have questions coming in from the participants. So I will pick up the questions and we will try and address, yeah? So first, from an anonymous attendee, how do I help my teens who does not seem to want sport? She seems to be shying away, keeping herself in the room. How do we do this, Prof?
Right. Okay. So is sport your interest or your child's interest? That's a question I want to put forward to you. If it's your interest and not your child's interest, then probably you shouldn't be forcing your child to go into sports. And it would be good if you try to explore and understand what is your child's interest. And help your child to actually get into, start doing their interests.
So we must be aware of your child's interests.
That's right.
So then in that way you can connect.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. The next question, Prof, is from Ms. Nofi Shafiq. Salam, Prof, from the Iskandarian. I would like to ask, as this developmental process life skills were interrupted, how would it impact later or result later when these teens become full-grown adults? And if now adults realize this broken link from their growing years, what would you suggest for them to do?
All right, my simple answer is that there is no time is a perfect time to learn. Yeah, I mean, wherever your child is stuck or struggling, that's the time you can help your child to actually start learning. And yep, I mean, our life is actually also about cycles of development. Yeah, and I mentioned about the set of skills that it would be good for adolescents to learn during adolescence, because when they enter adulthood, they need to focus on relationship, getting married, securing a job, facing a workplace. Those are different set of skills that they need to actually deal with their life successfully. So if they have developed the skills that I mentioned during adolescence, it will be, for them is it will be smooth. So that's the impact of making sure doing your best for your teenager to actually learn those skills. Yeah, because
so in short, sorry, Prof. In short, it's like if you see a gap, address it now.
That's right. That's
as
right.
soon as you can. Do not wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have made a lot of mistakes in my parenting, and I still continue my parenting. You just continue what you're doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a journey, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. The next question we have from Miss Lydia Asni Hamza. How to cope with our child who's already so burnt out after so long doing PDPR at home during the pandemic? I think a lot of parents would like to, get some tips on this.
Right. Okay. To be truthful, I have no perfect solution for that. That is a real problem for all of
Correct.
us.
Yes.
We just do our best. Just now also Mr. Daniel mentioned about during this pandemic also they get attached more to gadget is a real problem. But I think a few things that we can try to do for our children. Number one is as much as possible to actually create structure. Now we can already go out, go jogging, go walking, go see some friends, and do things more freely. You can actually start to incorporate activities in your children, so that would help them build that rhythm again. And I mean the stress is real. I have no actually perfect answer.
That's true. Just have a structure, try and error, adjust as you go along.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next question is, it's related to what Mr. Daniel has already mentioned just now. So probably this one we can sort of like maybe recap. How do I manage my teen's anxiety with social media and e-games, the gadget addiction, right? I think social media is like a war. I don't think I can win. Okay, I think, this is another situation which a lot of parents can relate to. Addiction to social media. So like Mr. Daniel says, we need a balance. They can't really live without it too, because they need the gadgets to gain knowledge, to study. So and also we talk about spending time so that the gadget does not become their best friend. Their best friend should be their parents, real life people. Am I right, Prof?
Yeah, Mr. Daniel mentioned balance just now. I totally agree. Yes. And Mr. Daniel also mentioned about rules, having some rules, and your rules can be different. That would be applicable to children of lower ages and adolescents. You can be freer a little bit with adolescents, because that's a time to connect, and right, and the rest is actually the time that you spend with your child. Yeah.
Okay, the next one, Prof.
And the last, probably, don't be too worried. Don't be too worried. Yeah.
Life is a journey.
That's
Parenting
right.
is a journey. Okay, Prof. The next one we have is, I'm a single parent and I need to handle my teens' emotions, and I have to do it alone. What is the best way for me to do this as a single parent? So what is available as a support system, Prof, if you can share?
Right. Being a single parent means that you have to shoulder the responsibilities alone. Yeah. Otherwise, if you have a partner, you can share some tasks, together. So I can understand that it can be overwhelming. Talking about where your children can seek support or counseling. That's what you mean, right, Hamidah?
Yes.
Yeah. So firstly, I think nowadays every schools have counselors. Yeah, that's what I understand. Yeah, and utilize the counselors at school. Yeah. And other than that, okay, now actually I did actually write somewhere here in terms of the agencies and organizations which offer counseling support. There is Talian Kasih from Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita, Keluarga dan Keluarga, Talian Kasih. There is also Talian Sahabat from Pusat Counseling Selangor. There is I mean, if your children are maybe having mental health problems, like in terms of depression or anxiety, probably you should bring your child to a general practitioner or primary health doctor to have some screening, and your child can be referred to psychiatric services, professional assessment and intervention. And I think in terms of private agencies, there are quite a lot.
I think school support system, in the institution, there's usually counselors or, unit bimbingan and counseling. You may reach out, all right? And also the school also usually conduct DAS tests to see, the child's level of anxiety, stress, and they are also, willing to help, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The
It's a
next
program
one.
in school called Minda Sehat.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is where mental health is addressed, but it's still a program approach that happens once in a while, and should be expanded at school. Yeah, so
There's a
right.
few more questions here, Prof. So, what is the best advice or action should we take when we find out that our teens are being bullied or they are bullying someone?
Right. Okay. Bully is something that you would want to take seriously.
Yes.
I mean, if your child is a victim, I mean, both the situation are serious lah. Whether your child is a victim or your child is the bully, I come across so many stories of people getting mental illness with the background of bully during childhood and other traumas. Yeah. So yeah, it can last very long. Yeah, in terms of the impact of bully. So I think, Puan Hamidah, Mr. Daniel, you are, very expert in running school. There must be some system in the school to address this, right? And the relevant people should actually be involved in stopping the bully. Yeah, it should be something that the school must take the policy of bully being an important, serious
That's
matter.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
There
your
should.
child is a bully, then it is your responsibility as a parent, first and foremost, to address it, understand, because behind bully, usually there is insecurities. Yeah, they actually project their insecurities to others so that they can feel powerful, they can assert control. That would that would avoid them dealing with their own insecurities. So you would need to explore that and get help probably.
Yeah, maybe some audio issues here. Can you hear me, Prof?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so I guess on the bullying, the moment any parent know that they might be some bullying related issues, they should approach the institution or the school, right, where the child is actually learning, where the child goes to, and work together, with the institution to solve the problem, before it gets too serious, or at least try and find out. So I'm just going to pick one more question.
Later, I will want to address Mr. Daniel's question. Just now, I haven't actually addressed that question.
Which part of that? Which part of the question?
How can school work with parents, in addressing the importance of mental health, and in bringing mental health in the agenda of in the environment, in the school environment as well as at home. Currently I'm doing a study on social emotional learning. If you have heard about this, social emotional learning in the USA, in the Western countries, is very much of academic learning. Schools in Malaysia, we are too focused on academic achievement. There is sekolah Pistari, sekolah Pijak, and sekolah semuanya all academic focus oriented. Yeah, and I don't think we teach enough of social and emotional skills to our children. We should be doing this together. Learn academic, learn to manage emotions and to manage social interaction. Because for you to be learning academic requires you to be mentally healthy. So if you have authority on the schools, like the private schools, I think it would be very good if you incorporate policy to integrating this emotional and social learning in your curriculum, in your daily teaching learning activities. I came across this one parent who said that in the child's school, actually the teacher started by just a few minute session of children. You can write how you are feeling today, and you don't have to tell people. You just write down, and just giving the space for children to actually express emotion will be helpful. And the rest is like, you can integrate it in learning language, learning mathematics, learning history. You can. It should be integrated in the curriculum. That's my view. Yeah, because it's very difficult for you to like compartmentalize, learning emotions and mental health. It doesn't work that way because mental health is your everyday life.
That's true.
Yeah.
So cooperation, working together as a school ecosystem to support mental health well-being of the teenagers is very key. Parents, school, community, we need to work together. Yes. Okay, so time check. I think, we are reaching the end of the session. Thank you very much, Prof, for your wonderful sharing of your valuable experience, and also sharing not just professional, but also, personally, from your life experience. I think that really hit home for some of us, I think, at the end of the day, parenting, it's just something that you have to keep on trying and doing and improving. All right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you are the one who needs to understand your child the best.
That's right.
All right. And for whatever challenges that we go through, life is not a bed of roses. All right. We go through ups and downs. It's to acknowledge it and also to act on it if you see any problem, and get help. Get help. Don't be afraid to get help. I think especially I think in our culture, in our we don't want to be judged. So sometimes we just either we keep it to ourselves, or we try and solve it in a way which probably the result will not be favorable. There's lots of help. There's a lot of outlets that we can reach out to. So I hope everybody have gained some, one or two valuable knowledge to help our teenagers who will be our future leaders of the country.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So with this, can I pass it back to our wonderful MC, Ms. Amira?
All right, thank you. Thank you to Teacher Hamidah, Mr. Daniel, and Professor Dr. Marhani on the insightful session we had just now. As mental health issue is rising up in Malaysia, communication between parents and teenagers is important. So today is the best day to start. Parents need actually to help the teens to validate their emotion and encouraging them to take the reasonable risk for the skills development. Embrace them with kindness, be a good listener, and support them to make the right decision. All right, thank you so much again to speakers and moderator today. For our viewers at home, you will stand a chance to win the exclusive EduCity Happy Kit when you actively participate in all the 3 sessions in today's the Epilogue of Happy Clinic 2021. The chosen winners from both Zoom, TikTok, and Facebook platform will be contacted by the EduCity team. So stay tuned to the final session that will be taking place this afternoon at 2:30 p.m. with another interesting topic titled Back to University, Coping with Uncertainty and Reset of Mindset with Ms. Kisha, the counselor from Newcastle University Medicine Malaysia on NUMED, together with Ms. Aziza from EduCity Iskandar as moderator.